Oh, hey! Look how raggedy I look. This is my laptop camera, which I do not use. I am trying to experiment with my setup. It looks like we're getting sound, which is shocking. The last time we attempted to go live from the laptop, it was a disaster. Just checking the frame, getting rid of anything that looks crazy, but I look blurry. How would I zoom in with this camera? How do you, hold on, let's see. If you change channel level settings, what does that mean? No? Then send feedback, pop out dashboard, that's not it. Manage, I don't have access to that feature. I don't know how to zoom in, sorry. But, you know, it's a new locale. There's a little bit of kind of decor over here. I shouldn't move anything because it'll fall over. But I hope that you're able to hear me well. I did try to turn up the volume as high as possible. And this is really just me exploring my work makeup because I had to go to work, as you saw, and I was very out of practice. It was kind of jarring and kind of like, right, makeup, wow, put it on for work, crazy. But I had, you know, an opportunity to do it, and I was very excited about doing it. Here goes the glasses, but that's okay because no one is chatting. But don't I look tired and makeup free? I'm actually about to go to the gym, so that's no worries. I did pull out a couple of clever items. This is from Elite Pro Beauty, cat liner stencils, because people talk about having like business cards and different things to help do their eyeliner. And this is a little bit more adorable. It comes in a cat shape, which we love. And it, you know, definitely allows you to get your, you know, get your eyeliner in a various different shapes. It gives you these, I think there's actually 2 little cats inside, and it has like different numbers that tells you like what kind of shape. So if you're someone who wants to do like drag makeup with a very kind of elaborate and precise cut crease with different shapes, this is the product for you. Now, everything that you can get at the dollar store in California comes with a warning on it because it's made out of plastic. And these warnings have to do with the materials that products are made out of. And you can imagine if it costs $1, it's probably going to be made inexpensively and also be made with products that, you know, again, California is very progressive. Products that might just give you some issues. You don't want to put it in your mouth. You don't want to boil it. I watch with interest on this platform and other platforms as people, they're like, how to rinse pasta, how to drain water from a pasta bowl. So of course, they grab a plastic colander and either stick it in the pan, the pot of boiling water, and then pour it, or they say, oh, my innovation is to take all the pasta and the boiling water and pour it into the plastic. My issue is that we know about Mr. Plastic, and we know that it's not good at high temperatures. It's risky. It's affordable. So why not, you know, why not get into a metal colander? There's plenty of them. There's lots and lots of options for you to, you know, populate your kitchen with, you know, get away from certain materials that might not enhance health and get into other materials that might be better for you. That's all I'm suggesting. Just a thinking exercise to say, hey, is this the best thing for me? Or can I get into another product or another kind of substance that can work for me. Now, this is fine. I'll read you the warning in case you're curious about how hard California goes about warning you about materials. It says, warning, this product can expose you to chemicals including 2-ethylhexyl phthalate, right? We've heard about phthalates, and 2-ethylhexyl phthalate, DEHP, lead, that are known to the state of California to cause cancer and or reproductive harm. For more info, you can go to www.p65warnings.ca.gov. And this is what a progressive, Ralph Nader is from, I think, Northern California, and he was a big consumer advocacy person, right? Because, cancer rates are high. You definitely don't want to do too much. Don't put it in your mouth. But for the simple task of getting your eyeliner straight, we gonna risk it. What else do we have? We got up into Target this week. Very elaborate Jason Wu display. I don't know if you can even read this on screen. I don't know how to mirror the video. But in any case, it is a freckle product from our friend Jason Wu. Love that he has a woman of deep hue on the packaging. Love that it's a freckle product that's universal. Love that it's affordable and you can grab it in store, not just online. Love it. Oh, we should put on earrings so that we don't look like we just came from a boxing match. But I hope you can hear me. Last time we experimented with going live on the laptop, it was disaster town. And this is a very affordable but official looking, I don't know what you call this mic, but it looks like a real vlogging mic. And it comes with its own little stand. Here's some earrings I got on clearance at Target for $4. So cute. But you can adjust it. You can bring it close to your mouth, right? I see people have the arm of their mic hanging. I don't think that this goes that high, but it, again, affordable. I must have gotten it at Ross or Marshall's, and it has that kind of like guitar amp connector looking thing, which looks impressive. It looks real. Of course, I do have a Shure MV51 that also looks super cool, that if this doesn't work out, I can switch to that mic, but I have this, and I might have more than one, and I feel like it's time to see what it does, because I see the numbers for volume flashing. I don't know if I can do anything to adjust the volume through preferences or anything else, but we gonna try. We're getting into a little upgrade our production value, right? We have a little decor, right? A little football. I don't know what Sola Sports is, but it's an actual football in the spirit of the season. Let's see. What is the sound department doing? It's a strange time. SAG-AFTRA is on strike, so there's all sorts of different opportunities to get involved in different kinds of work, and some of them are like audio based. So input volume, let's max it out. Output volume, maxed out. Internal microphone, line in, we can max out that volume. Output volume, max it out. USB PNP sound device, is that what we're using? Let's max that guy out too, right? Show volume in menu bar, why not? Okay, so every single input we have adjusted. We have balance, even, output volume all the way up. Sound effects. Wow. Play sound effects through selected sound output device. What could that be? Well, the volume of it is all the way up, whatever it is. So I don't think we have to save, but let's see if that has assisted with the volume that we achieve with this mic. Doobie doobie doo, doo 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 dee da, da 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 da, da 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 da. It something so right, like strangers in the night. I'm surprised that I don't get more critiques for my terrible ass singing, but that's because of the kindness and generosity of you folks at home, you know, curious about what it is that I'm very pleased to be here on a Sunday. I've been able to experiment with lighting. It's probably one of, hopefully, the last hot days here in Cali, because, the temps have been like 70, 80, but yesterday it was like 90. Just a little festive earring with some beads and some cowrie beads, just to give you a little ethnicity. Oh, look, ads are going to run shortly for some viewers. Look at me at home broadcasting from the nerve center here in the heart of dangerous Hollywood, right? A lot of my friends are roaming the streets, can't stay out of the streets, restaurant, bar. I think if you can chill, you should chill, just because, the strike times are challenging for all kinds of different people, for all kinds of different reasons, but not everyone embraces the idea that you have to make an adjustment. You have to make an adjustment, for financial reasons, for safety reasons. It's uncomfortable. It's meant to be uncomfortable, right? But we're tougher than that, right? You think about your ancestors, the Great Depression, if they had forced migration or if they immigrated voluntarily from somewhere else. And it, sometimes it's a lot to go through. Look at me, shiny. I'm actually folding my shirt up so it'll be a little bit less hot. I have to remember not to stand up. But, I see audio moving. I see, I guess if I go up here into the top menu, maybe it'll tell me what, I guess the audio is maxed out. I see people doing, what is it, ASMR? I wonder if you can hear that. I feel like when I either get detergent or dust on my nails, they tend to break. So I try to be thoughtful about making sure that it doesn't get into a heavy damaged place, right? But we can celebrate having a moment to think about, I have to confess, I've been so busy, I wasn't really clear that this was a holiday, right? I vaguely know October is time for what used to be Columbus Day, but now it is Indigenous Peoples Day, right? Little primitive Indigenous art. I'm not sure what it is, but we like the vibes. We like some natural wood, right? Finally, I know you're relieved to see an uncluttered background. I tend to be in a different direction in terms of trying to feel like I have things in decor that will suggest the season or the vibe or whatever. But maybe this is refreshing. And certainly this has become the go-to spot for like Zoom meetings and like phone calls. Sometimes I don't know if I have to be on video or not. Better safe than sorry. Put on some kind of shirt, even if it doesn't have sleeves. Take it from there. But, it is a pleasure to have enough energy and to have the time. What I'm doing is reconsidering with some additions, right? This is normally my favorite squishy silicone sponge that lives here at the makeup atelier, right? I don't tend to travel with this. and it is torn. I need to find another one. I have others, but this is my favorite one. I've tried to use those, foam latex or not latex sponges, but as giant or small, I've never really enjoyed what they do with makeup. I feel like they absorb a lot of product. And then on top of having to wash brushes and whatever small dish, right? This is my recycled La Fermier yogurt, right? It's pottery, so cute. This is like such a beautiful, beautiful yogurt. And it comes with this little container you can use for like a small plant or just a tiny bit of water in case your makeup requires it, right? Just keeping water at the ready. Some people like a damp sponge. I have several. I'm not in love. I just don't know what to tell you. It doesn't ever feel like, oh, let me make sure to put that in my bag when I go to work so that I have it. Never. I'll deal with a brush. I'll deal with my fingers. I do try to keep my fingers clean when I'm at work, like not excessively touch too much stuff. Let me see is it better if I lower this or should I keep it up high? We'll do a few minutes with it low. This is out of the shot. Can you hear me? Testing, testing. Or if it's in the shot, then I look more like a podcaster. And maybe that's the goal, right? I'm extending this base as high as it goes, right? I have a pretty genius item. I don't have the box handy, but I got this. First of all, I have an acrylic riser for my laptop, right? This is just my MacBook Pro. I do have an iMac, but I figured let me try to see. Usually this camera is covered because my old neighbor in New York, in Kips Bay, told me that, he was a nurse at Bellevue. He said that if you go on certain adult websites, sometimes the cameras can be active and watch you. So ever since he told me that, I always put a little piece of tape, this is painter's tape, over the camera. This is the first time I've ever had a reason to uncover this camera because I don't tend to shoot on it. I tend to shoot on my phone out of laziness. But I hear about other people's production techniques, and I figured with a new setup, with hopefully better lighting, like the sun is going down, I have 2 warm lamps on, and then I have a big soft box above me that hopefully isn't giving me too much shadow. When I think about it, I do like to take something reflective, either something white or something silver, like those reflectors from the car can be handy for reflecting light back up into your face. But what's cool about having the soft box, not only does it have like a kind of foil panel behind the lamp itself, like the bulb, but I also managed to get hold of some diffusion. It's not a gel exactly, but it diffuses the light so that it doesn't give you, harsh shadows if I put my glasses on, right? You see light in the shape of a box. You don't see 2 rings or 1 ring because it's a pretty dead giveaway. So I touched this mouse, right? Such a pretty mouse. I have a matching keyboard, but I disconnected it so I could plug in the mic. And this is what we're working with, right? Right here next to the mouth. I have some other mic options, but I figured out that I could not plug a mic jack into this laptop. I can do it in a PC laptop, but I can't do it in this one, and I can't do it in a Chromebook. And I'm not, wanting to buy a different computer right now, not until the strike is over. Also, I had heard that there was like a mixer available for a mic like this. So I believe the mixer might plug into the computer, and then you might be able to plug a mic like this either into the computer or into the mixer so that you can play with levels, bass, treble, etc. But I didn't I didn't do that. I wasn't consistent enough in making content, so I didn't want to I didn't want to go crazy, right? What did I want to say? But this is one of my favorite items from Target. It is a brush holder, 2-in-1. You can either use it, let's see if I can show this to you, either flat, right? Like out on the table and put your different size brushes in the little slots, or you can, it was only $3 and it comes in a teal color and the pink, you know what it is, had to get with the pink, to use as a drying stand. I didn't even think of that. You can roll the ends together and kind of connect it so it makes a little circle, and you can stand your brushes up. I just thought, oh, what a clever thing to keep them from rolling and falling on the floor, which is always the case. But see how clever that is? It can be either in the section by the door at Target, or it can be in the back to school kind of dormitory area that now I think is turned into the Halloween area. But instead of just being a cup, it has like different sizes in it. So again, when you're on the road and you're working on your favorite, show, and you're in the green room catching up with the homies, you can take your tiny travel brushes, right? Your angled brush spoolie, stick it in a slot. These are, I believe, lip brushes, right? But better tiny brushes than no brushes when you're on the road. And then just some random dollar store. These are actually from Kai, some sort of, I believe, Chinese brand that would sell it for like 99 cents or so so it's more like a, what do you call it? I guess this is more like a blending brush, and this is more like a, what do you call it? The little cat's paw that you use to, I have no vocabulary right now, but some larger basic eyeshadow brushes, and you can stick them in the little slots. Word to the wise, if you pick up the little latex circle, all the brushes will fall through the bottom. So don't do that. If you do, just put something under it, like a card or like your little cat package, and lift it from there if you need to relocate it. But just some tiny, this used to be part of a set that had a little box around it, and it was too big for me to travel with. But similarly, you just have a couple of small brushes that you can use to do some intricate work on your eyes if you so choose. Now, I would love to do some basic work makeup, and then I'm going to switch gears and maybe get on TikTok and do another gangster clown look. But this is what the skin is looking like. This is what the hair is looking like, right? Earrings, little jewelry, right? Nothing crazy. Just wherever I got these little jewelry items, right? Just trying to find the perfect finger, but just a little something so you look like, so that I look like I care, that I got on here to look like I made some kind of effort. But now stars, we're going to make some effort with our makeup, right? This mic is slightly adjustable, right? Is it something where we can get more height out of it and look more official by tilting it up, right? Tilting it up and aiming it toward the face. Maybe this is going to give us even more intensity, even more of that, what do you call it? More of that podcast look. But we want to put it in a position where it can capture my words without obscuring my face. Now, what I don't understand is how to zoom into the face with the laptop camera. I don't even know if that's possible, right? Where would that even occur? I do know I had to give permission to the laptop to use, let's see, if we expand the menu, webcam. I don't have access to the feature. Why? No. If I go back into system preferences, I've never used my webcam before, so forgive me if I'm experimenting here. We found sound, We see mouse, keyboard, energy saver, displays, general mission control. Where's the camera? Oh, help. Where is it? Notifications, dock, desktop screensaver, CDs and DVDs. Yes. Energy saver, trackpad, printers and scanners, Bluetooth, sharing. I'm curious about sharing. Oh, extensions. I've heard of such things. iCloud, parental controls. I don't even know where the controls for the webcam would be. If you know, put a message in the chat. General? No. Default web browser. That's not it. Huh. I don't think there's any more. What is Parian? But, you know, it's only because of the SAG-AFTRA Writers Guild strike that it's given delays, it's given time for me to have time at home and the discipline to actually sit here and try to figure this out, right? The idea of doing this, the idea of going live on YouTube with this podcast microphone and with, you know, some lighting element and a little jewelry and the will to test makeup, right? And to bring a little dish of water and the thing that will hold my brushes and make me seem more suave bola. It all falls apart right here and now because we cannot figure out how to give permission to operate the webcam. Is it a service? Services preferences. No. Oh. Launchpad and dock display screenshots. Blah, blah. Where's the webcam? Well, we'll have to make a note. We'll have to like try to figure out where that, oh, input sources. Oh no, that's for keyboard. That's not something we need. I don't know. I mean, I have my glasses on, so I can see. Is it a display? No, that's just for the screen. Color? Color LCD. There's other color schemes. Who knew? Wow. Look at me learning. But again, it comes from the fact that I have time. I have time, you know, on a Sunday when tomorrow might be a holiday, right? For the Columbus Day folks, congratulations. For the Indigenous Peoples Day folks, we're still here. Turtle Island lives, you know. Turtle Island is alive in all of us. So, you know, that's what it is. I'm sure the Columbus Day people aren't happy to have to share their holiday, but that's America, right? It's for all of us, right? Everyone and every group has a story and deserves to be honored. But where is this camera? And why don't I have rights to control it? I don't know. Is now not the time? Well, I don't see it. Manage. That's not it. Webcam, I don't have access. Stream, I don't have access. I can't even imagine where this could live. Obviously, I have to do more research. Where do the camera controls live? Harumph. I don't know. But, you know, listen, here we are. And it looks like there is audio that is getting into the system from this microphone. I'm not saying this is the most expensive or impressive microphone. No, I am saying it's an affordable one for anyone who is, you know, just starting to get their feet wet doing this stuff, right? That you could get the clip-on mic. I see people holding the mic here. I've been rocking with the camera mic. And it hasn't been the best, but it hasn't been the worst. So that's what it is. But yeah, it's time for the glasses to come off. We're looking a little bit of basic glam to get this makeup look on, right? We're thinking about Halloween, right? We had to restring the string for this mask. This is just a little bit of, when your pantyhose fall apart, you can cut them into strips. They're a little stretchy, right? You just need something that's going to blend in. Hopefully this is long enough so you can put it on, and suddenly you're somebody else, right? Halloween is upon us. Little mask, right? Suddenly you're someone else, and someone else is in a position to give opinions that maybe you can't, right? So we know I've been dealing with some people, right? Some people who've been wanting me to come over to their home and swim in their pool. Well, when I was at work, I saw someone who knew Pool Party Princess. That's what I call her. And I was explaining to her, like, I didn't want to contact you and talk to you about Pool Party Princess, but I said, look, you need to know what Pool Party Princess has been up to. And, if the core of Pool Party Princess has been inviting me over to get in the pool, and I didn't do it. What creeped me out over time was the repeated asks, I'm going to send you money for gas so that even though there's a strike and we can't really work, you're going to come over here to hang out and get in a pool in states of undress. And I was like, hey, what makes you think I want to come over and get in the pool? I do not, right? I could afford to put makeup on this mask so it matches my face better. But, when I saw her, I was like, yeah, I don't mean to bring you down, but I just want to let you know what's been happening with Pool Party Princess. And so she said something very interesting. She was like, yeah, the same person persistently asked me to come and get in the pool, right? This is someone in a relationship, and there was another woman there who's actually, the woman I was talking to has a background in kind of law enforcement, and then the other woman has a background in kind of like the Grey's Anatomy in the real world, like working in hospitals and public hospitals. So they know street life from the sense of how it ends up in the incarceration or legal system, or how it ends up, people end up injured or in trouble down in, the hospital, right? I have a friend who is the prison doctor at Bellevue in New York, which is kind of a, like people who are under a lot of mental strain, I'll put it like that. Like there's like a houseless shelter, and then there's like a kind of, this is a place where, like on General Hospital or other soap operas, when people get in trouble and they have to go to the mental hospital, Bellevue is the mental hospital. But he would say the same thing, like from a place of wisdom dealing with this stuff. So both of these women, I was explaining, like, yeah, this person wanted me to come over to their house, and they wanted me to take off all my clothes and get in the pool where there's cameras on the pool, because the landlord is a voyeur. And that was alarming to me, so I didn't go, besides not wanting to be out in the hot sun in the desert. But, I'm not going to travel somewhere to be in a pool with some woman that I barely know out in the valley where it's hot in the summer. So it got to a hostel place. The Pool Party Princess called me an a-hole 3 times, and then I blocked her number. So I was just explaining, like, yeah, that person that I met you through, no, from my perspective, and this is what happened. The woman with the kind of legal background was like, yeah, the same person kept contacting me on IG repeatedly, and I never got back to her, but she kept demanding my attention and kept messaging me. And what this woman said was that indicates that she has no ability to control her impulses. That the fact that, whether it's someone you're dating or a girlfriend or, a friend, if they message you and you don't have a chance, or you don't have the inclination or the time to get back to them, and they keep messaging you to try to get your attention or demand that you respond, that indicates impulse control. And I don't necessarily know what that means. I got to look into it, because I didn't read that as a red flag. I was just like, I assume if you're contacting me repeatedly. Maybe you have a funny video. Maybe you're telling me something. I assume you know I'm going to see it when I see it, right? We can go for weeks and not look at IG or whatever other app. You know, we can go for weeks and not be live on YouTube or any other app, but it's hard to, until you know, you don't know. I didn't know that this person was not someone that I should be friends with until, you know, I've never had a woman call me an a-hole in anger, ever. I think that's a word that gets used by those, you know, kooky Karens on the airplane or in neighborhoods trying to be controlling about other people. But you would never say that to someone you know or someone at work unless you are, in my opinion, either low class or unladylike or whatever. But that particular word, the B word, would come up before the a-hole word would come up, in my opinion. But, you know, this pool party princess was recruiting for different things. She needed somebody to be in that pool in states of undress. She needed somebody to hang out and take doses of different things. And there may have been commerce involved. There may have been trafficking involved. I'm not sure because I didn't go and I wouldn't go. But, you know, again, for a cheap mask, I had to fix it as best I could. If I put makeup on it, right, it wouldn't look completely, it does look still kind of like a person. The color is wrong, but I'm surprised at how well made this mask is as a partial mask. It does kind of interrupt your ability to talk. It gives you that whistle effect. But again, Halloween is upon us. That's why it's time to pull out your Revolution Batman mirror, right? So you can see what you're working with, right? I can afford to trim these little strings on the side and then, you know, see if I can apply some kind of product to make this color. Either I'm going to have to make my face pale to match the mask or make the mask darker so it looks more like my face, right? But as a strange little option for, like, you know, those movies like Point Break where Keanu Reeves is confronting the people who put on president masks over their heads to rob a bank, right? In this time of like facial recognition, right? A little mask that is part of your face. It's not a full face. It's not going to be crazy hot, right? It's kind of in your mouth with these buck teeth, right? It makes me feel like Melissa McCarthy, but I can hardly say my S's because of these buck teeth hanging down. What was the character that she played on Saturday Night Live? It was those kind of sisters that were kind of like Lawrence Welk characters, like I'm Judy, I'm Rita, and I'm Lucille, whatever the, you know, Kristen Wiig character was. So there was an episode where I guess a skit based on that series of skits where Melissa McCarthy was a kind of strange sister, and her thing was to take her buck teeth and gnaw on logs like she was a beaver, and it was quite funny. But she, to me, the best thing that she does on SNL is when she was Sean Spicer. All the gum and the podium. I love her. I think she's great. You know, but you know, you have to think about like how people's careers get affected based on what they look like, right? If Melissa McCarthy were Kristen Wiig's size, would she have a different career? Because I've been talking to people, and I hope you saw my post about the new host recruitment on The Daily Show, right? What's the problem with Roy Wood Jr., right? Is he too Black American, right? They had the South African who flew the coop who recruited Roy. You know, they brought in a bunch of guest hosts, and then they were going to bring in Hassan Minaj, but then there were some credibility issues that were explored in New York Magazine. So I don't think it's a no, but there's certainly no plan to have that new permanent host until next year. And I'm scratching my head, like, what's the problem with Roy Wood Jr.? Because he seems like the guy. But maybe it's a demographic issue. Maybe it's an age issue. Then maybe they want someone younger. I don't really know how old or young Hassan Minaj is, but if you always want to get in where you fit in, right? But at the same time, you want to use all of your 5 senses to consider what it is that people are inviting you to, right? And whether it's BS, dangerous, something that's not a good use of your time, or potentially an exploitation situation. Like, I don't want to go to your home. We can hang out in public. We can hang out in my neighborhood. We can hang out somewhere that isn't 15 degrees hotter in the valley. And on top of it, we can hang out in a place that isn't completely under your control, right? I go there, I'm drinking what you give me. I only have food that you give me or that you cook. I'm in your compound. I'm not, it's not an urban setting. It's like in the woods. It's a whole bunch of things. And the bottom line was no, but then to get name called, because this woman asked me about our job. Should she have asked for a coworker's phone number in front of our direct supervisor? And I was like, you're asking my opinion. And I would say no. I said, the most you can do is follow the character on Instagram and see if they respond when you're not here and when you're not standing in front of your supervisor. And that's what made her call me a-hole twice. And that's when my block button came down and blocked her on everything. Because it's like, that's unacceptable. You did it once. I had a talk with you. Maybe you're in a culturally different place. Maybe that's how you grew up, but that's unacceptable, right? It's like you can't call people names at work. We work together. That's how we know each other. It's not even a thing about like disrespect. I'm not trying to give you therapy or talk to you. I'm trying to figure out over time, are you someone that is for me, that should be in my circle, that I should, validate by being friends with? And if you're not, I can, with love, set you free so that you can do all the, substances that you want and all the having, Tinder dates come over to your home on the first date. All that is for you. It's not for me. I'll be over here testing out my Halloween costumes, and I'll be over here putting on makeup, and that's what it is, right? Camera ready. We're thinking about, what is the right way to have a mask if you're at work, right? If you're at work and on camera, right? Having something simple that's removable. You can't always go to work in like full costume and get your job done, depending on what you do. In any case, that was, I had to follow up about that situation with that woman because we knew her in common, and I did appreciate hearing the perspective about impulse control from someone who has a background in law enforcement and all the steps that happen when people need the law enforced on them, right? Justifiably enforced on them. And then the other woman who, deals with some of those people in the context of hospitals. And the other woman who is a nurse, like an actual nurse. I don't know if you would say RN, a registered nurse, but a real nurse, a real practicing nurse. And her point was that, what's dangerous about dealing with women is that, we're women. We want to assume that women are nice and kind and have better impulses than they might because they're women, right? It's like you being in LA and assuming that other Black people are going to be nice and kind and considerate of you and your needs and your safety. Not the case. Or you're, hanging out in Venice and you assume that the other people that you meet that have, Native American heritage would similarly be more trustworthy, more honest, more kind of embracing and protective of you because you have that in common. Not the case, right? People here are not going to tell you about, this is just the Art Naturals Beauty Art Nature Soleil Mineral Water Cooling Spray. And I'll have to take a look. I believe there must be a way to mirror the footage on here, but I don't see it quite yet. But in any case, I'm just going to get some of this on my skin. You know, it's a refreshing spray. It was only 99 cents at the Fallas Paredes, right? Look, 99. That's the nice price, right? You don't want to break the bank, right? You can spray your hands. We live in the desert. We don't want to just cake makeup and powder on our faces without being thoughtful about moisture and primer and all of that. We have the Charlotte Tilbury Wonder Glow Instant Soft Focus Beauty Glow Primer, right? But before we get into that, let's try to keep this makeup on our face because we have plans to hit the gym. This is the Poreless Putty Primer Basic version. I also have the Hyaluronic Acid version and the Vitamin C version and whatever the new version is that I think has squalane in it that comes in the squeezy tube instead of the little tub. But yeah, the other thing about, you know, you want to feel enthused to kind of run into your people, you know, but you don't want to necessarily anticipate problems. You don't want to anticipate that other women or other people that share your ethnic heritage are going to be a problem. However, when people show the signs, you cannot ignore the signs. Just tapping this into the pore places and the places where the makeup might tend to slip. And then we're going to get that Charlotte Tilbury Blur Glow product on. You know, there's very few Blur Glow products that actually work. So that's part of our makeup practice, to keep experimenting and see what actually delivers on its promises, right? But the same thing with people, right? People want to play like they're friends. They might call you on the phone. They might move from being someone that you're at work with, right? A work friend, a set friend, right? On the production set, to interacting with you in your personal life. But it's like there's a way, right? We've learned you can't take these things too fast. You can't assume that people that you met that were nice to you because they needed a ride home, or they were nice to you because they need to recruit brown women because that's what her landlord has a taste for, apparently, right? It doesn't matter what your education or profession or any talent, or that you're a real person with people that, you know, care about you and your health and safety. No. And this was also the law enforcement background woman's point. She said that as women of color, we need to be very careful because other kinds of people will look at you as a tool, not as a person, as a commodity, someone to be given to the landlord, sold for substances, or to be set up to become a user of substances, right? This is a stressful time for everyone in Hollywood, right? The mayor's office and the governor's office recognize that 45,000 people, because of these concurrent Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA strikes, right? Not everyone is in those guilds, but a lot of people can't work because of these strikes, right? Because it's not settled yet. 45,000 people are suffering and stressed out, including me, right? But if it soothes me to get on with a little decor element and try to simplify my background and have some back support and my podcast microphone and get my makeup on, then that's something constructive that I can do from the safety of home. I don't have to turn to people that I don't know very well and try to trust them with more than I should trust them with, right? Like, I don't know her that well. I know her, she's a friend of a friend, and I've interacted with her and I enjoyed hanging out with her at work. But I don't need to be browbeaten to come hang out with you. You know my neighborhood. You can come hang out with me if it's that serious. And then, the manipulation was real creepy. It's like the same chick kept whining and crying. If I spent hours with her on the phone, just talking about whatever while she did whatever she was doing, that wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. I had to come out there in person, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, why? I don't have time. I'm doing stuff. Oh, here it is. I found this little panel of glass that, as opposed to the little kind of marble dish that I normally put my complexion and other products on, I thought this would be an interesting way to see if products actually match my face. I was watching one of my favorite creators today, and I was curious to hear her talk about her complexion products that she mixed cool and neutral. And I've gone through a lifetime of thinking that I'm warm. And I actually the other day put on this product that I grabbed based on what it looked like in the bottle. This is the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour skin tint in the shade 310. But when I went on the website, I figured out that this is a cool tone. It's not even neutral. It's cool, as if there's tones of pink. I have cool lighting and I have some warm lighting balancing out. But what is my actual skin tone? This looked right to me, but there's two other possible in this ballpark shades that I could experiment with, and I could swatch them on the untanned part of my skin and see what's really up. But homegirl was on a mission. She really needed me in that pool. She had no shortage of friends and couples, and she's trying to recruit her friend from the East Coast to come and stay with her and get in that pool. And that it's such a luxury to have the pool, and she needs to enjoy the pool. Or is it part of your arrangement with your landlord for you to traipse around at that pool, for him and the other neighbors to come down to the pool and gawk at you in states of undress? That's fine at the pool, at the beach, if everyone else is in pool and beach attire. But if they're not, to me, that feels odd. Again, out in the woods, not where I live, ain't gonna happen. I'm busy. I have earrings, jewelry, tank tops, and makeup to try on. I cannot make a priority of, burning $7 a gallon gas to go see someone that A, I don't know that well, but that B, in the end, maybe I don't like that much, right? What are all these demands? We're not doing it. It's not like that, right? You're not asking me on a date, but you want to take up half my day at least. It's not like, oh my gosh, this Wonder Glow product has more pigment than I thought it did. Have I ever used this before? And of course now it's spilled in the cap. Wow, it's more of almost looks like a kind of rose gold color, but it promises turn around the look of tired, dull skin in a beauty flash, powered by a fluorescent core that re-emits light around the face to reduce the appearance of wrinkles and imperfections. This glow primer gives the complexion an all-over, soft-focused, spot-lit effect. Ooh, it's certainly oozing out. We don't want to use all that, but maybe we can try to get it back into the tube somehow. I think it probably expanded because it's relatively hot today. And maybe that's why it was in the cap to begin with. Maybe we can get some on our sponge. But we don't want to use too much if it is, in fact, a glow product. But we'll see where we get with it. Charlotte Tilbury makes interesting products. I can't say I'm in love with everything. I do try with the lip pencil and lip products. But yeah, Pool Party Princess was up to something. So let's start by putting this into the glow places, right? High points of the cheek, places where you might put highlighter, trying not to knock the mic, right? I do see people doing ASMR content. I'm not a huge fan. right? We can get it on the bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, Cupid's bow, and see if we need more. But I do think that glow effects do look really pretty in your, I put it on my chin to hopefully give myself more chin. I have a weak chin, but this product smells good and it feels pleasant on the skin. It does impart a glow, right? My goal is to make my cheekbones jump and seem higher, and to make the bridge of my nose, which is kind of not very high, seem higher. I have a friend who went overseas and got a surgery to augment the bridge of her nose. I'm not doing that. I can cheat with makeup. Maybe in the middle of the forehead. This might be a mistake that makes me look sweaty, but we got a lot of product. But it is nice. It is a very nice subtle glow. And placing this under makeup, right? I would assume that this is an under makeup product, but let's have a look. Right, glow primer. It says primer, so we're trying to prime. Will it be canceled out if we put complexion product all over? But we can certainly see what it does. It says it blurs imperfections. So let's, because it oozed out of the container, let's put it all over the face and see what we're working with. But yeah, old girl thought she was gonna flim flam alakazam me away from my own tasks and my own priorities and into hers. And that I wasn't going out like that. Like, I'm fine talking to you on the phone. I'm giving you a lot of time and attention on the phone. And, a lot of people don't have the time and don't do that with their new or old friends, right? On the strength of our rapport from work. But if you don't like it, that's not good enough for you. Oh, well, you're not going to make me cry or feel guilty. Like, I guess it's just going to have to be like that, right? Maybe we can tap the last bits because you can see them on the collarbones, right? We have a lot of friends who put glow products on their collarbones, even contour the collarbones. So we can consider very pleasant scent. We can consider getting into that with what remains. And then we can see, just like food, clean plate club, right? Little piece of glass with some beveled edges that will let us see what our complexion products are looking like. I did not feel compelled to make a priority of traveling over to this person's home. 2 dogs, 2 cats, 1 room. None of that says, Tanya, you want to be over there. Drinking out of, what was that line from that movie? It was a Tom Hardy movie with Shia LaBeouf. Unlawful, lawless, something like that. But that dude that was in Memento had some kind of weird relationship with a black woman, and he was like, nobody wants to drink out of a dirty cup. Sorry, there's like a bug flying. Let me know if you know what movie I'm talking about. This is the NARS Light 2.4 Cafe au Lait Concealer. And if you've been watching me, that I love the dollar store LA Colors full cover concealer in the shade Natural. And I figured out undertone-wise that Natural is the powder and the concealer for me. I have nude, I've got tan. It's off. Natural. If you're my color, you see Natural, you grab. In any case, yeah, Pool Party Princess. I like to let people talk. I enjoy that. Now, I would not normally travel with my primer, not with the Poreless Putty Primer from e.l.f. This is apparently the #1 brand of makeup among millennials. And surprise, surprise, the #2 brand is Rare Beauty. And then after that, it gets down into brands like Maybelline and Fenty. because of promotion, because of celebrity, I would have assumed that Fenty was higher on the list, but I don't know their price points relative to each other. House Labs was not mentioned. Maybe NARS is in the top 5, but I have to look at that a little bit more closely. I have been trying to, educate myself about the business of beauty, right? Sometimes on TikTok, people will really, really hone in on what I say. If I try, and I did try this product the other day from Maybelline because I was able to get it in store, and it has vitamin C derivative, and it promises buildable skin-like coverage. I found that this had less than medium coverage. I went in with one layer and it was like, it didn't give me the satisfaction. I think if you know my channel, I like is it the Maybelline 4-in-1 Perfector that comes in the tube, and it's like primer, foundation, powder, and something else. You put that on, just with your fingers, you're done. You're powdered, you're even. It doesn't look chalky or overwhelming. This, I think, is going to need more product and more work. But again, it was my first time using it. It looked fine. People praised how it looked on my TikTok, but I think it's time to go in and try it again, because that's what we do here, right? When I first started making content, I had a whole concept called camera ready, right? Because of these times, we had to start doing our makeup ourselves. And even men were scrambling to figure out, well, how do I find powder? How can I do things that will make me look camera ready if no one's going to do it for me? And on top of it, I don't want them to do it because a lot of the people who work close with main cast are too close to main cast. Remember 6 feet? Anyway, we have a couple of things we could get on our lids. We have the Milani Eyeshadow Primer, lightweight, invisible finish, right? Or we could just use one of our favorite concealers, the NARS or the other, etc. We'll see what we feel like. But if you see what I'm saying, like, yes, you want to be friendly, you want to be friends with your colleagues and all that kind of stuff, but you can't just tune out from the information that they're giving you. You can't tune out when you hear them going like on the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can't tune out when they are, talking to you a mile a minute, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, every day, right? Once in a while, the weekend, whatever, party, whatever you want to do. So we're primed, we're double primed. We're regular primed to stick on the makeup, and we're glow primed to blur imperfections with this glow, right? If you know Paul Wall, who has been rocking a very excellent silver fox look. But we have a couple of different contour products. We've got the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand in the shade Fair Light, which I love because it's gray, right? I'm not the fairest and the lightest, but I also have the Milani Liquid Contour in the shade Toffee, right? And I somehow have ended up with 2 different containers of this, neither one of which is open. How strange. Do we have anything else that we can contour with? We do have powder, but I thought, ooh, maybe I should take these and mix them together, because this one's too pale, and then this one is fine on its own, but it's just not gray because it is the shade Toffee, right? That's my complaint. As I figure out if I'm neutral, I don't think my complexion is cool, but I could be wrong. A lifetime of being, what is it called? Warm could be a lie. And that lie, well, it could be ending in the next quarter as we complete our explorations. But we can take our glass panel and mix up some contour. We also have this blur stick, Master Blur Stick from Maybelline, but because we went in with the Charlotte Tilbury, we didn't use this. We have a Hard Candy Sheer Envy Energizing Toner Refresher. We didn't use that. We just sprayed plain water. We have our favorite Mario Lopez. Do you think it's true that Mario Lopez broke up Jeannie Mai and Jeezy's marriage? He was getting awfully handsy with Jeannie on that. Is it Extra or some other entertainment show? This is the Revolution Hyaluronic Fix, right? So fixing spray as opposed to setting spray. This is the Saved by the Bell Wanna Wrestle, smells so good setting spray from Wet n Wild, right? So you have a few different price points, right? Very affordable to the sort of mid-range, mid-cost drugstore, right? Drugstore, Target, you can get your hands on some of these products, or you can get them online. But yeah, let's get to mixing our contour together. We looked up. We got this brush from the dollar store, the perfect blending brush for contour. I got 3. One of them travels with me to set, right? I have a few of these toffees. I'm going to put one aside. Now I see that I have 2 of these Fairlight contours. I'm thinking one of them has to be open. Yes, this one is open. Maybe both of them are open, but I'll put one aside. Oh, both of them are open, but you know, sometimes you'll have like a kit of makeup that lives in your purse, and then you'll have, the thing I've gotten into lately are using luxury sunglass cases. This is from a brand in Abbot Kinney called Il Stava, right? They snap shut really securely. Love. And then I also got another one that is, I believe this one is Ray-Ban. Right? No, Ralph Lauren. So they're embossed leather, so it looks a little Suave Bola, but it's not the business with the zipper where you got to dig down in it. It opens up, not all the way, like a little clamshell. I could innovate this into something more of size, but I like that it opens quick and closes securely without messing with a zipper. But it could use more room than you have for a pair of sunglasses. But if you have a boyfriend that has or loses sunglasses, don't be shy. Nab those sunglass cases because they're awesome. So we're going to mix some contour. We're going to get that going. But, you know, the other issue with Pool Party Princess was that, you know, she has a name, and I talked to the other gals about this, a name that seems Italian. And she and her family are not Italian, right? It's not like, you know, how certain ethnicities were discriminated against, right? For instance, people who are of Jewish background, right? Some of my friends from high school were talking about going to college, and people would say stuff to them like, oh, you're Jewish, why don't you have horns? I've never heard any of this kind of stuff, right? Because I'm not Jewish, I wouldn't hear or see that kind of discrimination. So it would make sense to me that people decided to change their family names so that they could get through hiring and admissions processes, because at a certain point in time, and nobody, you know, likes to talk about this still, entire institutions discriminated against that community, right? And right now, what's going on in Israel is dangerous for everybody involved. So our thoughts and, you know, support are with them. But this woman, her family is, I believe, from Mexico, not Central America, and her whole family decided to become Italian, right? So it's not like making your name a generic, like, white person name. You've made your name purposefully an Italian name, right? Milani Conceal and Perfect Contour Liquid in the shade 03 Toffee. So the second darkest. And just dotting this, instead of on our face, we're going to squeeze it. These tubes are full, as opposed to what Miss Charlotte Tilbury does with her tubes, one hears. You get it on your dish and see next to the face, it is cooler than I thought it was, but it also still looks kind of caramel and toffee colored. So if I can kind of amp this up by adding some gray to it, I'd like to do that. So when I figured out like, oh, you're not the ethnicity that you and, allegedly your family pretends to be. Okay, whatever, that's your choice. But one day, she called me and didn't leave a voicemail message. She did that thing, where your phone will say, you can leave a message after the beep, or you can press a number to leave your callback number, right? Which is that kind of like businessy, like, oh, page him and have him call back the business number. Like, people don't do that. I've never done that. Left someone my callback number, not in this decade. Like, so these are the two contour shades side by side. So you can see how the gray one it's a little too pale for me, and the other one is a little too warm for me. So hopefully can mix them together and get some joy, right? So we start with our silicone sponge. Do we need to use the clean end of it to clean up this wand so it doesn't get product all down in the tube, right? Silicone sponge, soft. So if you keep tapping it on your face, it's not going to absorb product, and then you have to be there giving yourself arm cramps trying to wash it and get the sponge clean, and then it's not going to end up in the landfill. So we're going to tap this together, right? Not all of it, but let's see if we can blend it. At the bottom, blend it, and maybe get a little bit more of a grayish contour shade. Now, should we use this big old sponge or should we use a tiny brush? This is a lip brush. We can dip it in water and take the brush and lift some of this mixed product off of our sponge, put it back on there and do our contouring, right? Trying not to broaden it out. Think about the map where we want our contour to live and use a very thin brush to lay on some version of a blended color. But, I think people can do what they want. But my thing is like, what does that say about you? That you and your family have made a choice to pretend to be a whole other ethnicity. And if I didn't talk to you about it, I would still think that you are that ethnicity, right? It's called passing. And that's fine. I'm not judging you necessarily, but here's the thing. When homegirl called me and left that callback number, I didn't know who it was, right? So I'm thinking, oh, is it work? Is it a creditor? Is it the FBI? Who is this number, right? Because it was a area code that wasn't familiar, right? Like you put someone in your phone, you never think about what their phone number is. Again, I don't, right? Thin brush, just building the shape and the legend of our contour, right? Some of this color is coming on more brown and some of it is coming on more gray. Wasn't the best blending job, but again, we're experimenting. So she obviously is comfortable and her family is comfortable doing this, pretending to be, like the Sopranos, or, certainly not, if I'm correct and her family is Mexican, certainly not talking about La Raza or Chicano pride or anything like that. Like you remove yourself from all of that history by pretending that, ironically, Columbus Day is your day. So is she somewhere with her family beefing about, Columbus Day being in some places? I don't know if it's both or if it's Indigenous Peoples Day instead. I'm not sure. Let me know what you know. But when she left that callback number, I'm in bed and I Googled it. Baby, when I say I Googled that number and I saw the name that she uses, with me and in our job, but I also saw 15 other aliases that were unlike that name that I knew her under. So, you know, my stomach, like, I felt a lot of tension in that moment. So using our tiny brush to blend these two products and colors together, we're going to contour the nose and maybe get some in the lid area, just to use it all up, right? This is what it's looking like. It's a little piece of glass, right? It's more brown than our skin tone, but the gray is too pale, so we're trying to split the difference. Contour our nose and take contour out of the brow area down the sides, and then make little feet. And I can see the Charlotte Tilbury Glow product on my skin in a good way, and I think you can see the glow all around my face. But you know, contouring and letting this dry down. But yeah, I don't know. This girl thought that she could just tell me anything and I would just be uncritical, like not thinking about what she was saying, not concerned about, you know, being, and I talk about this on my TikTok, just being discerning about the people that you're dealing with. I like to take a little contour down the cheek, right? People talk about that point where if you could poke through your cheek to your teeth and just, you know, play with the idea that you're enhancing the structure lent by the muscle in your face. Here you can feel your cheekbone, right? Some people like to contour their cheeks in a line from the top of the ear to the mouth. I think that looks strange on me, right? So you kind of try different things and then see what works for you. But yeah, just contouring away, hopefully the double chin. I haven't been exercising. I've been working on a lot of stuff. The gift of time is great, but you know, the stress of not being at work every day is not. So we try to, if we end up having to go back to work in a week, you don't want to feel like you wasted this time, that you didn't spend the time figuring out your live setup, that you didn't spend the time experimenting with your contour and your makeup, so that when you're on TV and you have to play law enforcement or look natural, that you haven't spent the time finding out, ooh, what contour and concealer and complexion product will let me front like I actually look better than I do. But in any case, Pool Party Princess really thought, you know, she conned me, but then she left me that number. I looked it up, aliases and blah, blah, blah. It freaked me out. I didn't say anything, but on top of, you know, the other dynamics with wanting to like call me names and, you know, do things at work that you shouldn't do, especially not in front of a supervisor. You don't ask people for their number. The most you do with any colleague is, oh, what's your Instagram? And see if they give it to you. They could just lie and say they don't have it. Maybe they don't have it, but you know, you're not ever wanting at work in front of supervisors to like apply, you know, personal interest pressure, I'll put it like that, to your colleagues, right? She was like, oh, we had a moment. I'm like, he may have just been being polite to you, right? Knowing other business with Pool Party Princess is that, you know, every man from the dating app was coming right over to the house on the first date. No dinner, no coffee, no hike, no nothing. Getting right in the pool. States of undress. Probably indulging in things, you know. That's a choice. It's a risky choice, right? Just trying to use up all this blended product. Have I helped myself by adding a little bit more depth and a little bit more brown to our contour product? Letting it dry down. And then hopefully we're going to tap it out and not let it become muddy. I was looking at someone's video. They were talking about getting a tattoo that covers their neck in black, and that they had, you know, applied makeup like that. But then when it got done, right, you think about where you put your contour, right? Before I started really practicing, I would put the contour up on my jaw, and her complaint was that the black neck tattoo was up on her jaw. So it looked like she was wearing a black turtleneck made out of skin. And once it's permanent, it's permanent. And that because it was up on her face, it wasn't the way she drew it on. And, you know, she was kind of talking about how when you get tattoos, especially with a sensitive border like that, like how something, a dark black color touches your face and it's more opaque than maybe if you put it on with makeup. You know, I don't understand the look. It's obviously not for me. But what's great is that this little silicone brush holder, you can put the brush in it and it's not laying down on a table or on your makeup case, right? Letting things dry down, looking, seeing if it's more gray or more brown and what you prefer. Should we blend it with another brush? Should we tap it out? I don't want to make it muddy, but 2 points. One, okay, your family decided that you would be not your actual ethnicity, but a different one. Not generic white or American, but specifically making yourselves Italian, right? Trying not to make our contour too muddy and make it wander around a lot, but trying to sort of tap it in and see where we get with this, you know, and blend it up toward the hairline. Gray and not the dark brown that we were rocking with all for the last couple of years. If you watch what's on my channel, definitely we can do an easy blend at our jawline. But imagine having your jaw contour be permanent and maybe it doesn't end up in the right place, or if it migrates. I don't really know what happens with tattoos. I was being threatened with having a tattoo. This guy I was seeing around Christmas. But, you know, adding a little to the Cupid's bow, just give us a little of that dewy and depth. Right here in the center, we can use our brush to lift product from over here, right? Maybe this is too much product, but we can cheat, steal some, and deliver it right here. Give us a little more depth, right? We can steal some more and put it under our mouth, right? See if it's going to give us the look of contoured lips, right? Some people draw the contour all around the mouth. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like deepening this can make it look like your lips are more full. I'll put it like that, right? But using your brush, tiny brush, not a big brush, tiny brush, trying to be precise with it. Trying to let that contour live where it's supposed to, right? But wanting the two sides to match, right? Lighting is important so you see exactly where your map is going. And if this got kind of muddy and spread out, you can certainly use concealer or you can use water or something to tidy it up, right? Blending out what's on the nose, but just taking your time with it. Why? Because we got the mic. We're rocking the mic here on YouTube, House of Tanya, right? If the blend is not satisfying, you know, you can kind of lift product off. Sorry about that. We'll see if touching the microphone, I don't know what you call the foam cover on the mic, but, you know, I don't have a pop screen on my Shure mic, and I feel like I want one. I just don't want to spend like $7 or $15 to get one. Not now, not yet, right? We're hopefully, you know, one of the actors from a show I worked on was talking enthusiastically about how this might resolve next week. I certainly hope that's true, right? Like that would be kind of amazing and feel like relief, because, you know, we've been like, oh, maybe we should get like real jobs doing other things, but you know, what about our union pension? You know, you'd hate to kind of, you know, and as much as we haven't been able to work for the last quarter or so, we would hate to just abandon now this is a situation where I wish I had a regular sponge near me, because I feel like I made my contour muddy over here. All I have is this napkin, but we can dip it in our water and see if we can kind of tidy up the edge so that this gets sharpened up the way that it's sharp over here, right? You know, we went a little wrong blending with that silicone sponge, right? It might not come out perfect, but you know, that's what we're trying to do. We can mess up when we're out, when we're about to be on camera. What do, right? It could be a micellar water situation. It could be a, now I took off too much. You know, I believe I can make this better. And then maybe use our brush and our nerves to restore what we had initially laid down, which was much more precise lines, right? On the cheekbone, in a lifted shape, right? On the cheekbone. Maybe steal some from our lids. And it's fascinating to think about, like, to really sculpt the face and then conceal with a brightening concealer, and then really let that interplay of highlight and contour harmonize by adding your complexion product over it, right? I used to think, oh, paint on super dark contour. Oh, paint on super light concealer, right? Because I see people do it and then they go in with a thick, you know, even some people lay down, like they drip foundation on their face and completely cover it, and then they set what's been covered up by putting on powder contour and powder blush and powder, all of that, even putting on, you know, liquid or cream blush at this stage before the complexion product goes on. And all of that's valid. I'm just trying to find out what I have a comfort level with, right? I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. It's hot as can be. I have lights on, and plus I'm nervous talking to you about my experiences and my makeup. Maybe it doesn't look as great as I had hoped, but I think we're gonna get there. But if we don't, listen, we're trying out our camera, right? We're trying out our fan. We're seeing what this fan does to our audio. We're seeing if the sound is better if can I just be in a normal place and talk? Is that good enough? Or do I really need to ride the mic like I'm, you know, Post Malone or someone? Earrings look good. You know, maybe when that weather's cooler, we'll take our hair down, but not so far. But yeah, you know, these are my theories about my makeup, right? Certainly looking glowy, certainly a contour which isn't the crazy deep brown that I was starting out with, and then trying to willfully not get muddy and kind of tap out our contour too much. We want it to peep through, but we don't want it to look like magic marker. And maybe there is a place for a regular sponge that looks more like the texture of this mic. But yeah, you know, I got freaked out when I saw that girl and her on Google. This is the other thing I think is suspicious. When you see when you Google someone and only about a page of results come up, because then it feels like, oh, did this person do something to remove some of the results? Because over a lifetime living in the US, why would you have so little about you? This is Thread Beauty, shade Grace Matte. I believe this is a lip product. I don't know if you could use it as a blush as well, so we won't risk it all. We know we have this blush product that we like very much. It doesn't seem to have a shade name. Liquid blush in Fake the Flush that seems like a kind of corally pink instead of like a baby pink. We definitely have a few different blushes, right? This is the L'Oreal True Match, which is a baby pink. This one is baby Blossom. So pretty. It comes with a mirror and a brush. Super pale pink, right? Love it so much. We can keep our brushes organized by using the little silicone thing. Then we have this dollar store blush, Ione, in the shade Peach, right? And this might be a good, it has shimmer in it. It might be a good match for that Revolution Super Dewy and Fake the Flush, right? Then we have from our Japanese dollar store friends at Daiso, this multi-cheek. Now, this is some of the first makeup I used on set. I was like, oh, look, blush. It cost me $1.50. It has shimmer in it. It doesn't look unlike the Ione blush, right? This one's a little bit more coral. This one's a little bit more pink, but you know, the undertone of Japanese complexions has some warmth to it, right? So I thought, oh, yellow undertones, this will be great. And it comes with the terrible little brush that I did use, and I do use it when I don't have any other brushes. At least it's not the little foam thing. It is an actual brush. I'm sitting here wondering if I've ever washed this brush. I think maybe once, maybe. Because like I'll use this and then I'll forget about it. But again, part of my goal is to use up my stash of makeup, right? I have the makeup. I want to use the makeup. I want to make sure I travel with it so I'm not on set not having makeup, but that I am being thoughtful. This is a L'Oreal Infallible. This is also some of my first makeup. It has this shiny package, so you have a little bit of a mirror, a little bit of a shiner. You could probably use it to cheat playing cards, like in a James Bond movie. But it comes with a liquid lipstick, but it also comes with a little lip balm, right? I'm feeling dry. I'm doing all this talking, right? It's got scratched up, but, you know, little lip balm. Smells good, feels good. You certainly have a lot to say, and it's cute because then you just slide it back in the package securely. But yeah, Pool Party Princess, all the invitations, all the identities, so few results when I did look up that number. And remember, I didn't look up her name. I looked up that number that was in my phone, and I didn't know whose phone number it was. But then when I found the results and I found that one entry that gave all the different aliases, I was freaked out. I did get the darker range of the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette, dark to deep. I had medium to dark, and this is dark to deep. I saw it, I couldn't resist. It's got a contour, a bronzer, and a very kind of golden highlighter. I just wanted to see what it would do. I have to use a light hand with it, but I was curious, right? I think it's time for a little highlighting concealer. Should we rock with the NARS, or should we use our favorite dollar store concealer? Maybe we should get into the dollar store. We also have some concealer that I don't know if I've ever used any of these. We've got Porcelain, Light, and Medium from our friends at Makeup Revolution. Just trying to make sure that these are actually concealers and not Eye Bright Concealer. Yes. Porcelain, Light, and Medium. And it has little swatches on the back. I don't know. Should we go for light? Porcelain seems lighter than light, so let's see what it's working with. Sorry about that. I'm talking a lot. Shake before use. Okay. But yeah, what would a woman need with so many aliases? It's like if you're in SAG-AFTRA, maybe you have one name that's your stage name, right? Maybe if you have a complicated ethnic name, you make yourself like Rock Stone if you're like an action star, or Pepita Blanco if you're, you know, an exotic beauty. But this is, you know, basically making yourself Mira Sorvino when you're more Griselda Blanco. Shout out to the new, is it a film or a series with Sofia Vergara? Unrecognizable nose prosthetics. I don't know if, people get into a lot of trouble when they try to put on prosthetics to look like a more ethnic person. I haven't heard people complain yet, but it was certainly an issue with Helen Mirren playing Golda Meir. It was certainly an issue with Zoe Saldana playing, what is her name? The jazz pianist, and everyone was up in arms about it. I think Zoe Saldana is a fabulous actor, but, you know, perhaps the makeup and prosthetics were too much, you know, and distractingly so, and people were very much against the choice of her. Another one of these products that you got to twist endlessly. It's a beautiful product. Like, it looks great, but my God, still nothing. Nina Simone. Yes. I just needed a moment to think. But beautiful product, packaging. Oh, we're going to be here for 10 years. But yeah, I'm not sure what the Griselda nose is all about. Looks like we might be getting some joy here. We squish it on our little piece of glass. And we did. We got some product. It's looking very pale and very cool. Just squishing it off that little foam top and getting the cap on. And then we'll see what this shade has to give us. Oh, it's a snap-on, not a twist. Light. We have two other shades, but another brush to lay this on, I think. Right? Or should we use our silicone sponge? Maybe we can try this because we don't need it to be as precise as the contour, right? But look at that. Look at that Charlotte Tilbury glow popping. Maybe I used too much, but we're going to go over it with our complexion product in any case. And now we know for the future to be very careful and very sparse with it, unless you want your whole face to be glow, little glowworm, shimmer, shimmer. This is very light. But I see that. I see even people with very deep skin tones going in with extremely light highlighting contour, where I'm almost like, oh no, things have gone wrong. And then again, they cover up the light concealer with, that is not my shade. They cover it up with, you know, all other powder, and they bring it back to normal, but it's almost like to get the contrast going, people go in with a lot of very pale. This isn't even the palest, but we've had this product for a while. Adding a lot to our chin to try to make it jump forward, a bit to the forehead. Let's see what the finish is looking like, if it's going to show every pore and wrinkle, or if it's going to look, you know, bright in a good way, right? Just using light and dark to reshape different planes of the face, right? We're trying to get our art on. We're dragging it into the inner part of the eye, kind of a lazy cut crease. Just tapping it, making sure the eye is primed, right? We got some in our dish. We can afford to spread it out. We know we laid down contour. Some people like to take their brightening concealer on the outside of the eye and drag it into the temple. We're just going to do that to experiment. You don't want to have a ton of product right under the eye so that it'll wrinkle, but this undertone is looking ghosty, which might be fine for Halloween, right? So if the product doesn't work for you, ooh, I got it in my hair. If the product doesn't work for you, you can certainly put it into your special effects makeup area, right? Maybe a little on the brow bone. and just see what it does. See if it looks beautiful or if it looks suspicious. We can also take one of our thin brushes, just the end of the brush, and take it down the bridge of the nose. Just to make a little precise thin line. Not too much product, but we definitely want that line. You know, I have seen people talk about just taking your finger and getting brown all over the nose and then painting pale concealer in the middle of it. And, you know, people look very, I've learned not to put a big gob of bright on the tip of my nose, just a dot. You don't want the tip of your nose to look bigger, right? Just make a very slender exclamation point. Just try it for me. Slender. Don't go crazy. Get it right under that brow bone, right? Some people say paint a big line of bright concealer all the way across your face, even between your brows. And then they do all that and get on camera looking insane. I'm like, why would you waste all that product all across here and all above your brows? It looks like a lot, because it is a lot, right? Get it on, you know, your jaw, just using the end of our brush, right? Just to highlight under where we contoured the cheek. Certainly giving us brightness. We're not going in with a big old brush or a big amount of product. We're going in with some untraditional parts of our brushes just to blend it and try to get a sharp line under our contour, right? We want to look snatched, and we want to use up all the product that we put on our face. And then we know we're going to go over it with complexion product, right? I don't think that we did all this when we were on our way to work. We just pretty much put on the complexion product and went and put, like, you know, makeup over it, but maybe that wasn't giving us all that this could give us, right? So using this brush, highlighting within the contour, right? Then returning to our sponge, we got a bit here by the nose, blend that out. Some people like to put highlighter into their whatever marionette lines. Carefully tap out your nose highlight, looking mysterious. Take your silicone sponge, fill in any gaps, blend it out. Check out the color of your concealer. Check out the color of your brightening concealer. Any little last tidbits you can brighten by the mouth. Some people are, you know, doing even more than this, and this is very pale and a little bit deeper than that gray contour, and I think it's in a good place. I think this is when we can pull out our friend Mario Lopez, such a talented dancer, such a jovial person. I hear that he loves the ladies, and certainly the ladies love him. Just to spray on this. Oh, Mario, not on my face. To hopefully lock the highlight and the contour down to some extent before we go over it with our complexion product, right? Setting spray. We want to set this down as opposed to fixing spray, which I understand is supposed to kind of unpowder when you've got all your complexion products on and it's looking powdery. Then instead of just spraying plain water, you can spray on a fixing spray to meld the makeup products together, if that makes sense. Before I sat and listened in earnest to different tutorials, I would not have assumed that there are differences within the world of sprays for after makeup. But it's educational to know that you can go in and try to lock down your highlight and contour before you put a layer of the complexion product of the day, which is the Maybelline Superstay 24-hour skin tint in the shade 310, right? I'm definitely not in the 100s. I'm not in the high 300s. I'm somewhere, because the powders are the same. It's like 310, 220. There's I don't know. I can't even recall from the website. There's definitely 2 other shades that look likely for my face. And I don't hate this, but you know, you have to kind of embrace the imprecision of makeup, right? When you do your makeup and you see how it looks and you add glow and you add different elements, or you forget to bring something and you really want to make sure you have that next time, it's part of your education process. It's definitely not a bad thing, but hopefully our Mario Lopez on our face, he says, "Wanna wrestle?" He has like 3 kids, and there's ads on YouTube where he's some kind of like gut health product maybe that he's pushing with wifey. Heather something. Anyway, I think blush after complexion product. That's what I think. But because we have our little glass panel, we can get some drops of this on and then see what we're working with, right? Use our silicone sponge to tap a layer, especially in the areas where contour meets highlighter. Work in light layers. They say this product is buildable. Weightless feel, natural radiant finish, resists sweat, water, and transfer, right? So let's prepare to work efficiently. We don't want the nose contour to look this obvious. We want to create a layer that kind of tones down the contrast. We want the contrast, but we don't want, you know, and it's up to you whether you want to go in with your contour and highlight first or after. I've seen both done. This is the underpainting technique, and it's very interesting. We started with just 2 drops. It's interesting to see different makeup artists like Mary Phillips and her friends attempt to take credit for, this is what it looks like, this is it on the sponge, take credit for a very time-honored and time-worn technique. It's like, I get it. It's like when Hailey Bieber tried to say, oh, she created brown lip liner and a gloss. Like, what? I don't think so. That existed way before you. It was like a thing in the 90s. And it's, you know, it's happening all the time with like sleep bonnets and different things that, again, in the spirit of Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day, how did you discover a continent where people lived? Like, I get it. I get the spin. I get you're trying to, you know, impress the people that gave you money to come in this direction. But how did you discover it if they were living here? How does that work? Doesn't seem possible, right? Decreased contrast, high contrast, structure still peeping through with 1 layer, right? We need a couple more drops. A little on our little dish. Let's see what we can do. But, you know, I was able to get this Batman mirror from Marshall's for like $5, probably $3. So cute. Halloween is upon us. You can send out the signal and call for help if your makeup is not looking the way you want and you need help from Batman or someone else. Is it too cool between the highlighting concealer vis-a-vis my neck? Unclear, but let's get some more drops out. But yeah, Pool Party Princess, the intent to seem like a white person and not a brown person was curious and strategic. The law enforcement woman I talked to said that she knew that that was a brown woman. I did not think about it, and I can't say that I knew before the issue of the name and the names came up. It's like, why do you need so many names? What is going on? Like, so many, not 2 or 3, not, oh, I'm Mary and then I'm Marie. It was like entirely different ethnicities, entirely different names, and there were like 15 of them. And then the age was off by 15 years. And I get it. Actresses will talk about playable age and all of that. And certainly your private information should be confidential. But, you know, if we're kind of being homies, I didn't ask you, but you told me things that were personal, but very purposefully not true. And I didn't know until there just started being weird behavior. Who leaves a callback number? I looked up that number because I didn't know it was her. And I didn't like what I found. Now, I didn't discuss it with her. This is what the complexion is looking like. Right, we toned down the contrast between the contour and highlight with this complexion product, right? And maybe we leave it here. We could go in with a heavier layer, but I don't think we need to, right? Are we cooler than our neck? I'll be able to see more clearly when I look at the playback, but we're bright in the bright places. We're contoured in the contour places. Do we need to blend down our neck? Earrings are popping, sassy attitude in effect. But, you know, this girl thought she was going to get me. And I had no intention of getting got. Not at the pool. I don't want to validate your behavior. If you're running around town, you know, doing all these things and getting into things you shouldn't get into, I'm very happy to leave you alone. Here is all of your freedom, ma'am. I think it's time for some blush. The squeezy tube is very conservative. You're not going to get a heap of product out of there, but you're going to get enough, right? And when you're in the comfort of your makeup atelier, you really can see what you're doing with these different colors, right? You can get some dots. They don't make a big hole in this dispenser, right? To kind of teach you to use just a little, and then see what it does and see if you need more, right? It's not going to spill all over the purse. And that's, you know, some of this packaging can be so sloppy and so like unforgiving. It's going to go crazy and make a mess, and you won't be able to really control what comes out. Some of these dispensers just aren't trying to be your friend. It's going to be a messy, gloppy dispenser. We know from doing makeup, you can tap your blush in a high angle on the cheekbone, but get it rather close to your eye. This beautiful, bright coral shade on my, I don't know if I'm olive or if I'm yellow. You be the judge. We're with a cool, not even neutral, a cool toned complexion product, balancing out. We mixed gray and toffee contour just to give us some more depth and to give us more of what I call human color, right? Using our silicone sponge to tap this out and make it a kind of diffuse, sheer application, right? People talk about putting it on the back of your hand, but then you're going somewhere with makeup on your hand. No. If you have a dish, you have a panel of glass, see what you can do with that. See what amount of cream products or liquid products are enough, and then you know you're going to go in with your powders to set for longevity, right? Set, maybe you'll add more setting spray, maybe you'll add more fixing spray, but something to bring your appearance to perfection. That is always the goal, and always having your hand mirror signaling Batman or whoever your favorite superhero is, so that you'll be looking right when cameras are on or when you're doing whatever it is that you need to do. Now, powder-wise, we do have this very inexpensive powder from LA Colors. This is what we traveled to work with, and it was a little disappointing because it's the shade beige. Beige is not natural. Beige looks like this, right? When I swatch this on my arm, right, it's okay. It's a little bit more pink than we would like, but it's okay, right? You have it. It costs $1.29. It comes with its own little work. It's a serviceable sponge for $1.29 for sure, right? We can set our blush with the pink. We can set it with this Ione product. We can also set it with this Daiso product, which probably is what we're going to do. And then this is the star. I got hold of this Milani Conceal and Perfect translucent powder, blur out powder, and it actually works. Yes, it does. It actually blurs out. It doesn't lie. It doesn't just create powder and cake. It really does do the job, right? So is this a moment where we can grab a brush, right? A sparse little brush that lives inside a boyfriend's high-end eyeglass case, right? Something that will fit inside, not your biggest brushes, not the fluffiest, but enough brush to kiss into that product that has served you well for a long time. This was my road dog, this blush. And I was, doing my acting. This blush, now I can see that I need to blend this more, right? If it dried down and it didn't, it's a very forgiving product. Just making sure it's at a high angle and that you have diffused it so that it's not looking blotchy or too heavy. You don't want it to be everywhere. You want to keep in mind the map you laid down with your contour, but making sure to take it into the hairline and the temple and on the chin, maybe a little across the nose. I don't like to blush the tip of my nose. I like my nose not to look like I've been enjoying yayo, right? I saw the remix of Ariana Grande's Positions with Doja Cat, and Doja Cat is inside a vehicle in the desert with the tip of her nose looking pink, and it's not a good look. Love Doja Cat. She seems to be going through a lot. Am I right to think that Dr. Luke is producing her albums? Am I right to assume that maybe Dr. Luke is putting our girl through a lot of that Kesha style stress? Because no one's talking about it. People just cyclically are like, oh, she acting erratic. She doing this, she doing that. It's like, maybe we should think about maybe why. She's been very prolific, very productive, but, I think a lot of musicians have to go through things to get their work done and to survive, right? This blush is fine, right? It's not a super deep, dark color, but on my complexion, it's got that pale salmon-y color. Blend it up toward the eye, high on the cheekbone. We're looking alive in the mirror. We got more color on the face. Doing the damn thing. $1.50 from the Japanese dollar store. You can see the writing on the back. We can't read it. Blush. For the yellow people that yellow or olive. I don't know if people in Japan are olive or if they're strictly yellow, but this is what it's looking like. But I have been on live for 2 hours. I think I'm going to hop off and go on TikTok to finish. I would like to see if I can go on TikTok from this setup, which I'm also House of Tanya over there. Can I log on to TikTok on my laptop and continue my live? But anyway, just to wrap up, Pool Party Princess, false identity, many aliases, false ethnicity. I third time calling me profane names was the cutoff point for me, but it was interesting to hear the perspective of these other women. It's been interesting to work on my makeup with you here on my live in my new setup with my new microphone. So let's see if I can. Then I've heard that there's a way to create a podcast on YouTube. I don't know if that's something I can do with this live, but we're going to figure it out. We are nearing the 2-hour mark, 1:59:45, 46, 47. I'll be trying to go live more regularly and, just rock out with it, right? Bringing you looks, makeup, and ideas and discernment. That's what it's all about here on House of Tanya. We have to navigate this world. Some of these people are not okay. Some of them are strung out. Some of them are trying to put you on the track, either to line their pockets or subsidize their habits. Don't let it be you. Anyway, I will see you again soon. House of Tanya. Bye. End stream. Voila.